We've all been there, right? You get this absolutely gorgeous bouquet of flowers, you're so excited, and then just a few days later, they start to wilt. It's so frustrating. But what if I told you the secret to making them last for weeks isn't some old myth? Well, today, we are diving deep into the hidden science of keeping cut flowers looking amazing. I mean, it's the question everyone asks. You bring home these perfect blooms, you put them in a vase of water, and it's like a countdown clock starts. Why does all that beauty and life just fade away so quickly? Well, the answer isn't where you think it is. It's not really about the flower at all.
That's right, the secret is in the water. For years, we've been focused on the petals and the stems, but the real key, the thing we almost always overlook, is the water we put them in. Let's dig in and find out why.
All right, to crack this case, first we've got to understand what a flower is actually going through the moment it gets cut. It's a story of survival, really, and it all boils down to two things: food and water. Just think about it for a second. When a flower is on the plant, it's got this whole root system working overtime, pulling up all the nutrients and water it needs. The second we snip that stem, we've cut it off from its lifeline. It's suddenly isolated, it's running on empty, and it is desperate for energy to keep its cells going and its petals open. So what kind of food is it starving for? Carbohydrates, or to put it simply, sugar. This study from back in 2003 pointed out that flowers, especially roses, need a huge amount of energy from sucrose just to bloom properly. Without that fuel, they just can't do it. The takeaway here is really simple. You gotta feed them. Okay, look at this number, 19.5 days. Now that's not how long your average bouquet lasts, we all know that. That is how long a flower can last with the right care. This number comes from a really cool experiment that basically cracked the code. So back in 2017, a study in Nepal tested a bunch of different formulas to see which one would make roses last the longest. They tracked everything, including that horrible neck bend thing that roses do. And the winning formula? It kept flowers looking fresh for an incredible 19.5 days. So what was this magic formula? You're gonna love this. It was just distilled water with a 6% sucrose solution. That's it. This super simple mix beat everything else, lasting more than 4 days longer than the flowers in plain old tap water. The sugar gave them the food, sure, but that other ingredient, the distilled water, that's the real game changer here. And this, right here, is where it all clicks into place. Yeah, the sugar is important, but the study proved that the type of water you use is a massive, massive deal. So, why was distilled water so much better? What's actually hiding in our tap water that's sabotaging our flowers? All right, let's put on our detective hats and investigate your tap water. Because it turns out it's not just plain H2O. Depending on where you live, your water is full of stuff that can actually stop your flowers from getting a good drink. First up is pH. The easiest way to think about this is to picture a flower stem like a tiny drinking straw. Sometimes little air bubbles get stuck in there and create a blockage. Well, flower food packets have acidifiers that lower the water's pH. This acidic water actually dissolves those bubbles and clears the pipes so the flower can drink freely. The sweet spot is a pH between 3.0 and 5.0. Next, we've got water hardness. This is just a measure of minerals like calcium and magnesium. And while those are good for us, for a flower, too much can clog up its internal plumbing, kind of like plaque building up in an artery. It creates a physical traffic jam, and the flower can't hydrate no matter how much water is in the vase. And finally, we meet the real villain of our story, alkalinity. Now, this isn't a substance, it's a property. It's the water's power to resist changes to its pH. So, high alkalinity is like a stubborn force field. It fights back against the acidifiers in the flower food. You can add that little packet, but if your water's alkalinity is too high, the pH just won't drop enough for the flower to drink properly. So, now that we know about the three big players, pH, hardness, and alkalinity, let's put different types of water in a head-to-head showdown and see which ones are friends to our flowers and which ones are foes. Okay, this chart gives you the quick and dirty summary. Tap water? It's a total wild card. Purified water, that's our champion. But whoa, look at that bar in the middle. Softened water. If you have a water softener in your home, you really need to hear this. It might be one of the worst things you can use for your flowers. And here's why. Water softeners work by swapping ions. They pull out the hard minerals we talked about, like calcium, but they replace them with sodium. That makes the water salty, and salt is toxic to most flowers. And here's the kicker. Softeners don't get rid of the alkalinity.
So you end up with salty water that still has that stubborn force field. Purified water, on the other hand, is like a clean slate. It has everything removed, creating the perfect blank canvas for the flower food to work its magic.
Hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to an industry pro, Gail Smith. She says you should never use artificially softened water. Why? It's just too salty. It's a simple rule to remember.
So, what are the best choices? Here's your all-star lineup. Purified, distilled, and reverse osmosis water. They're all great because they're basically blank slates. Spring water is also a really good option. The bottom line is you want to start with the purest water you can.
Okay, we've gathered the evidence, we've identified the culprits. We know flowers need food, and we know they need the absolute right kind of water to drink it. So now, let's put it all together. This is the simple, foolproof plan to rescue your flowers and give them the long life they deserve.
Here it is, the 5-step formula for flower success. 1. Start with a sparkling clean vase, no bacteria allowed. 2. Use pure water. We just went over why that's so important. 3. Always add that flower food packet. It's got the sugar for food, the acidifier for drinking, and a biocide to keep things clean. 4. Give the stems a fresh cut, about 1 to 2 inches at a 45-degree angle to open up a nice wide surface to drink from. And 5. Keep them cool, out of direct sunlight, and top up that water every day. That's it!
So, there you have it. The secret to making flowers last isn't some trick or old wives' tale, it's just science. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the secret to a bouquet that lasts for weeks was hiding in plain sight in something as simple as water, what other amazing bits of everyday science are we all missing?